Hello, hello, hello. It's the Daily Antidote of Song. I'm Andy Davis here in southern Vermont, in Brattleboro. It is apparently, although I haven't been counting every single one, 1,878th day of the Daily Antidote. So that is an achievement in these times. Thank you all for being here. We have a special guest today, as we always do, one of my neighbors. Here, it's kind of a Vermont day here at the Daily Antidote. And I'm going to do a little hello here and see who we've got on board. And so let's just start with that. And then we'll get to our guest today. So, Susan. You get to go first here. I'll start with it. I'll include everybody on my screen because we're all here together. Let's see. Hello, Brendan from Vermont. Hello, Joe, who's over in New Hampshire. Hello, Anna from Boston, Massachusetts. And hello, Susan in Cincinnati. Hello, Sue in Seattle. Hello, Kathleen out in Albuquerque. Hello, Bonnie from Boise, Idaho. And hello, Jamie in British Columbia. Hello, Nan from Michigan. That rhymes. Hello, Kathy out in California. And hello, Carolyn down in D.C. And hello always to Mabel and the bear. Hello, Sheila in Florida. Hello, Bob in Albany, New York. And hello, Louise from the United Kingdom. Hello, Al down in Massachusetts. Always good to see ya. Hello, Cricket from Maryland. Yeah. Hello, Ruth and Clyde in Birmingham, UK. And hello, Nancy in Washington State. Hello, Aria, Los Angeles. Hello, Ann in Knoxville, Tennessee. And hello, Athena in Brooklyn, New York. And Bob in sunny Massachusetts. Hello, Laris in UK. While I change my screen and find the next person. Hello, Sarah in Santa Cruz, California. And Arlene out in Berkeley. Hello, Lori up in Michigan. Hello, Jenny from the United Kingdom, Suffolk. And hello, Maggie from San Ramon, California. And hello, Dick and Kathy in Victoria, BC. And Kat Cox in Vermont. I think I got everybody because we've got 2 full screens today. It's so good to see you. And it's a real pleasure here to introduce our guest today, Brendan Taafe, who lives just a town south of Brattleboro, down in Vernon, Vermont, right on the Massachusetts border. Brendan, good to see you.
Hey Andy, it's good to see you.
Yeah, what do you want to share with us today in this lovely space?
I'm gonna share a song called "Grace It Falls," which is from the Bucolics Project. I'll be talking more about that after the song. It's a collaboration with a poet named Morris Manning, who's in Kentucky, and then I've been working for 9 years on setting his poems to music. This one, it's called the Bucolics Project because all the poems come from a book called Bucolics, except for this one, which comes from a different collection, and it's kind of a meditation on the nature of the divine. I think in that way, like that Islam talks about Allah having 1,000 different names. I might have the number wrong. Sorry to any theologists, but like, lots of different names. That's what this song is about. And I'll give you a little taste, and then we'll go over the melody. Then we'll sing the whole thing. You, the listener, and you, the sound. You, the sower, and you, the ground. You, the certain, and the unforeseen, and your grace, it falls like the sweetest dream. So that's half of it. So I'll just line out the melody so that you get it. The second half will be very like the first half. Here's a phrase, and then I'll give you a chance to sing it back, even though I won't be able to hear you.
One sec, Brendan. For folks that aren't completely familiar, the words are in the chat, so you check there and you'll see, and that could be a visual help for you to keep on. Sorry, Brendan. I just want to make sure people knew that.
Yep. Yeah. So I'll line it out, sing it back. You, the listener, and you, the sound. Your turn. You, the listener, and you, the sound. Next phrase. You, the sower, and you, the ground. Your turn. You, the sower, and you, the ground. You, the certain, and the unforeseen. You, the certain, and the unforeseen, and your grace, it falls like the sweetest dream, and your grace, it falls like the sweetest dream. Great, let's try that whole thing with the organ. This, by the way, is an SD pump organ. Brattleboro used to be the country's largest manufacturer of organs like this one. You, the listener, and you, the sound. You, the sower, and you, the ground. You, the certain, and the unforeseen, and your grace, it falls like the sweetest dream. Great, and so the second half is very like the first half. There's only one part that's different in the melody. The words are different, obviously. You, the knower, and you, the found, same as the first half. This is where the difference is. You, the rebel, and you, the crown. So in the first half we went up there. So it takes a little detour down. So let's just sing that phrase. Then we've got the whole song. You, the rebel, and you, the crown. That's it. That's the whole thing. Let's try the whole song from the top. Grace, it falls. You, the listener, and you, the found. You, the sower, and you, the and the unforeseen, and your grace it falls like the sweetest dream. You, the knower, and you, the found, you, the rebel, and you, the crown. Your wild edges and the in between, and your grace it falls like the sweetest dream. Thanks. A little bit of a meditation, really. Andy, you're muted.
I know. Well, see, what happened was I got spotlit there, and then I couldn't find my mute button.
Oh, yeah.
Or no, other people were spotted. I'm still getting used to Zoom after all these years. Brendan, that was
We're only 5 years in, so.
I was sort of hoping you would do it a second time there, because it's very meditative.
Oh, yeah.
We often have,
We could do it another time.
yeah. But tell us more about the poet and about what drew you to this project.
Yeah. So Morris, he's around 60. He's from and lives in Kentucky. And about 10 years ago, a friend just recommended his book. They thought I would like it. And I was living in my apartment in Brattleboro at that point, and had ordered the book and picked it up at the bookstore downtown and walked home and sat down, and for the first time in my life, and I've read a lot of poetry in my life, I read the book in one sitting from cover to cover in order. That's never how I interact with poetry. I kind of skim and I find one that speaks to me. But this whole book, it's such a piece. And it's this conversation between a field hand and a divine being who's known only as Boss. And it felt like these poems were written for me, that they were articulating my spiritual experience, which is, has always been on that edge between doubt and faith, and often kind of leaning hard into the doubt side of things, but wanting to believe, so that constant back and forth, and that these questions of feeling, those moments of feeling connected to something bigger and those moments of feeling alone, and the tension between those. And so it's just this stunning piece of work. The one of the poems that leapt out to me at first says, "You raise the hawk, you hoist the crows around it, Boss. They tip their wings, they lift their voices, but the crows are unafraid. How suddenly the hawk could turn to drive them from the patch of sky they're riding in. How suddenly their spat could matter less than one breath matters to the wind. Does any of it matter to you, Boss? That is the king of questions."
Mm.
So, I think it gets to some pretty essential stuff pretty quickly. And I was totally taken by that poem, and I started making a cranky of the poem. And I was almost finished with the cranky and realized, oh my gosh, I have not asked for permission from the poet yet. I was just so excited about it, I skipped that kind of important step. And so I found an email and I reached out and I relayed the story I've just told you all, and which is a great way to butter up a poet, by the way, should you need that in the future. And
So you mentioned the cranky. I'm not sure if everybody on the screen knows what a cranky is.
Right, it's an illustrated scroll that cranks from one side to another in like a wooden puppet theater.
Yeah, it's
Um,
kind of like an early form of media where
right. Yeah.
you
Yeah.
can put a song there or a poem and illustrations, and then as the
Yeah.
song progresses, you wind it through. And I find that children and adults are always fascinated by a cranky.
Oh, they're magical. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I wrote Morris, and he was pleased to hear this and happy for me to make the cranky. And then this is where I think this is where things really get launched on this project, because he said, you might be curious to know that when I was editing the poems that became this collection, I taped them onto a revolving cylinder and illustrated them, which is very like a cranky. So somehow
Yeah.
there was a connection there. And then we hatched this plan to create these songs, and I need to give you the abbreviated version because time is short. So we're gonna skip over a couple of years and get to the point where we decided to create songs based on the poems. And each song is based on an archival field recording housed at the Appalachian Sound Archives, which are at Berea College in Kentucky. And I was fortunate enough to have a research fellowship there. And I pair a poem with a source recording, and Morris rewrites the poem, which are they're not poems in need of revision, right? They're amazing poems, but he's totally game. He rewrites the poems to match the structure of this source song,
Sure.
and then I change the music with the goal of the final result feeling like a cousin of the source recording and not a copy. So we're trying to just have this sense of transformation and renewal, but like drawing from traditional sources. So that's the project.
And where does this poet live?
He's outside of Lexington, Kentucky.
Okay, so he's part of the Grand Appalachian mountain chain. And what was
Yeah.
the source material for that tune that you chose?
Okay, so the one I chose just now doesn't have. It's the only one that doesn't have a source recording pinned to it.
Original music, then. Yeah.
Yeah, that's just original music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what about some of your other projects going on these days?
Well, I'm completely consumed by this one these days. And the thing I wanted to tell everyone is that we're running a Kickstarter right now to make this happen and bring this project into the world. And this is week 2, and it would be so helpful if you're able to visit the Kickstarter, to support it if you can, to share it with people who might be interested. And even if you like, it's unfortunately everything is so based on the algorithm these days. Even if you support at a lower financial level, that still helps us because, like, the algorithm sees that there's lots of engagement and lots of backers, and then it hopefully snowballs.
Right.
So it would be fabulous if you could do that. There are some rewards. I have to admit, there's also a whole kind of architecture where you spend lots of money on advertising your Kickstarter. And I would love to send as little money as possible to Mark Zuckerberg, and try and do a grassroots version, and that's asking you all to spread
Yeah.
the word.
So, first, good place to start is check out the links in the chat
Yeah.
to get to Brendan's pages on the internet, and there you'll sure will be very prominent how to check into this project.
Yes.
Well, you mentioned that we don't have much time, and that is a feature of the Daily Antidote, that it is a part of our day, and it doesn't take up our whole day, but it's always a delightful part of the day. And I understand that you may have another piece of music to share with us, another song.
I do.
But please say a word about that instrument, Brendan, before you
Yeah,
start
this
playing.
is a gourd banjo. It's the original banjo.
Beautiful.
Not this one actually, but this is how banjos came into the world. Based on, they evolved from West African instruments like the akonting and the ngoni, and then which came over in the minds of enslaved people. Obviously, not the physical instruments, and then were recreated in the New World and kind of morphed a little bit and became the banjo. And this song, also from the Bucolics Project, this is based on Roscoe Holcomb's Hills of Mexico, which is an amazing ballad. Roscoe Holcomb, amazing singer. Hills of Mexico, fabulous ballad. So definitely go look that up.
Yeah, look up Roscoe Holcomb, High Lonesome Sound.
Yeah, so good. So I'll sing a little bit for you, line out the melody on the first verse, and then just sing the song and try and hold on as we go. But here's the basic gist of it. I've got one thing to say to you, boss, in this cool spell. It's Blackberry Winter, I'm sure you know it well. The dewy days do linger, how you fiddle with the sun. You hold it back, you lay a woe on everyone. So that's the basic idea of the first verse. There's a lot of room to play as a singer. You have a lot of held notes where you can kind of navigate them as you want. I'm enjoying doing some ornamentation along the way. So here's the first line. I've got one thing to say to you, boss, in this cool spell. Try that. I've got one thing to say to you, boss, in this cool spell. Then it goes up. It's Blackberry Winter, I'm sure you know it well. Try that. It's Blackberry Winter, I'm sure you know it well. Thus far, by the way, we are tracking the melody of Hills of Mexico very closely. We're about to diverge. The dewy days do linger, how you fiddle with the sun. The dewy days do linger, how you fiddle with the sun. You hold it back, you lay a woe on everyone. Just try that last line. You hold it back, you lay a woe on everyone. So let's just try the whole song. Oh, I've got one thing to say to you, boss, in this cool spell. It's Blackberry Winter, I'm sure you know it well. The dewy days do linger, how you fiddle with the sun. You hold it back, you lay a woe on everyone. Now I don't blame you, boss, the dawn is sweet to hold. Sweeter when the spring returns from bringing cold. Oh, I don't mind it when you jerk the reins to hold me back, but I don't like it when you let the reins go slack. Now you may want to turn me out, leave me there to graze, but then I have to live through lonesome days. That makes me like the bee before the flowers frozen lost. Are you the bee or just a stinging story boss. Now I know the G and the ha, they come from you. When I feel hitched, I think the story must be true. When I graze alone, I feel that flower's frozen loss. Are you the bee or just a stinging story boss?
Thank you so much, Brendan. You know, that song really evoked for me like some of these hard times we're going through. It's kind of a lament, and it's but an acknowledgement of the power of the world, the power of the universe,
Yeah.
the power of whatever spiritual life you have. That
I mean, for me, like those lines, when I feel hitched, I think the story must be true. But when I graze alone, I feel that flower's frozen loss. Like, what?
mm,
Oh my gosh.
yeah, the need to connect.
Yeah.
Which brings us right back to the daily antidote of song, because
Yeah.
this is one of the ways we keep connected to one another and pulling through. Is that too much of a stretch, Brendan?
I was
But
I was just admiring your skillful segue, Andy.
well, but I really mean it. That was a lament that I really was. I needed a song like that, and there's absolutely nothing like a banjo for both joy and sorrow.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's got the full range, the banjo. Well, Brendan, we're out of time. I have to let people know what's coming up on the Daily Antidote, but I want to thank you, and let's all thank Brendan for being with us today and sharing his marvelous musicianship and this beautiful project of poetry. So thank you, Brendan. We
Thanks for
have
having me.
quite a week here. Chrissy Lamont will be with us tomorrow, and she'll be coming in to the Daily Antidote from England, from the UK. And then on Thursday, we've got Katie Martucci will be with us from New York City. Saul Paul on Friday from California. Peter and Mary Alice Amadon, another set of neighbors of Brendan's and mine from here in southern Vermont, a real Daily Antidote favorite. And then on Sunday from the DC area, Elena LaFulana. So, as usual, a marvelous variety of things here at the Daily Antidote. Thanks to those of you that tuned in today on whether you're here on YouTube or whether you're here on Zoom or Facebook. We love all of you, no matter how you clue in with us. And I think I've remembered everything I was supposed to mention. This is day 1878. So you do the math and come join us one number higher tomorrow. And I think I'll do my goodbyes here. Thank you all so much for being here. Always thanks to Joe for being guiding us through. Anna down in Boston doing our tech work, always appreciated. So those of us doing the content part don't have to worry about the tech part. That is a real gift, Anna. Thank you. So let's see if I can make up a tune here to say goodbye. Goodbye, Brendan, and thanks for singing today. Goodbye, Susan and Sue in Seattle. Goodbye, Kathleen down in New Mexico. Goodbye to Bonnie in Idaho. Sometimes a rhyme just happens. Goodbye, Jamie out in BC. Goodbye, Caroline in DC. Goodbye, Bears and Mabel too. Goodbye, Bob in Albany. Goodbye, Louise in Devon, UK. Goodbye to Cricket in Maryland. Goodbye to Ruth and Clive in Birmingham, UK. Goodbye to Anne in Tennessee. Goodbye to Marion across the pond. Goodbye, Athena in Brooklyn, New York. Goodbye, Don in Vermont. Good to see you, man. Goodbye to Susan in Tacoma Park, Maryland. Goodbye, Storm, always good to see you. Goodbye to Laris in UK and Jamaica. Goodbye, Sheila in Florida. Goodbye to Christine in Ottawa. Goodbye to Sandy, and also to Al. Goodbye to Nancy in Washington State. Goodbye to Bob in sunny Mass, and to Lynn in Vermont. Goodbye, Ariana in Los Angeles. Goodbye, Kat in Vermont. Goodbye, Sarah in Santa Cruz. Goodbye, Arlene in Berkeley. And Lori from Michigan, and Jenny in Suffolk. That's a cute dog you got there. I hope you actually have that dog, because that dog looks like a gift. Goodbye to Dick and Kathy in Victoria. Goodbye to the curly tops here in Vermont. Thank you all for being here. We'll see you another day. Have a good one, wherever you are. Thanks so much. It's always an honor to be part of this project. And
Thanks, everybody.
go in peace. Thank you, Brendan. All take care. See you on the next time round.